All right, everyone, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the court's understanding that you reached a verdict. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that verdict unanimous?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you will hand the form to Deputy Laura, please. And defense, if you'll rise. All right, as to count one, it states we, the jury, find the defendant Jessica Briones guilty of the offense of murder as charged in count one of the indictment. As to count two, it states we, the jury, find the defendant Jessica Briones guilty of the offense of injury of a child as charged in count two of the indictment. As to the finding of the use of a deadly weapon, it states we find that the defendant Jessica Briones used or exhibited a deadly weapon, namely a wall, a metal bracket, a door frame, and or an object unknown to the grand jury that in the manner of its use or intended use was capable of causing death or serious bodily injury during the commission of the offense for which she has been found guilty. Does anyone wish to have the jury poll? State.
No, Your Honor.
Defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And would you wish to have the jury polled as to the finding as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you if this is your verdict. We're going to start with count number one. If this is your verdict, I need you to answer yes. And we'll start on the first row towards the end and work our way here. And then we'll start on the backward towards the end. Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
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 Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict? As to count two of the indictment, is this your verdict? Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, as to the finding of a deadly weapon, is this your finding?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, now what will happen is the second phase of the trial, which is called the punishment phase. State, do you have any opening statements?
We do, Your Honor, but may we approach on one matter?
Yes. All right, State, you may proceed with your opening.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. And we just ask you to hang on a little bit longer. You've already seen the worst of this case. Most of the punishment evidence, which is the evidence from guilt innocence, that's what really makes this case. What happened to that poor child during the 4 years of her life. And unfortunately for Olivia, there aren't a lot of people to come in here and talk about her and what a great child she was, or the loss that's felt because defendant kept her from everybody. But you're going to hear from a few people. You're going to hear from Olivia's biological grandmother, and she'll talk about Corey's other kids and how they wanted her to be part of their family and the loss because of that. Judge, may we approach on one more thing? Sorry. That while on bond, the defendant got pregnant with another child. Had to do a paternity test to see who the father was. You're going to hear about the concern about the defendant being around that child again, or being around any children for that matter. And you're going to have the opportunity to hear from a couple of the men involved in Jessica's life, as well as Corey, Olivia's biological father. And at the end of the evidence, we'll ask you to consider everything that you heard in guilt innocence and everything that you hear in the next day or two. And we'll be asking you to return a life sentence in this case. Thank you.
Defense?
Reserve, Judge. Judge, we call Jessica Briones.
All right, you're still under oath. Defense?
You're the same Jessica Briones that testified earlier in this case, correct?
Yes.
Now, I just want to clear up a couple of things that came up during some of the other witnesses' testimony. Denise said something about, you understand, you weren't allowed to be around children while you were out on bond, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Except if they were in the restaurant and you were serving them, that kind of thing, right?
I was granted a supervised visitation or by this court, actually, by the prosecuting attorney and the judge at one point, in agreement to the family court, but they had initially agreed to allow supervised visitation if I could get permission from this court. But when the document was presented and turned into the court, the attorney withdrew the offer. They changed their mind, and
Okay, so let's parse that a little bit. Are you talking about when it was turned into the family court?
yes, I had turned in the document to the CPS caseworker, and the meeting was by Zoom, and I couldn't find the paper copy of the document while I was in the Zoom meeting. I figured it would be adequate to have turned it into the CPS caseworker, but when I tried to testify that I had submitted it, they just kept saying that it was hearsay and the visits were not permitted.
Okay. All right, so in any event, you did you or did you not get permission, first off, from this court for supervised visitation?
From this court, yes, the prosecutors agreed and the judge had signed off on it. I had the notarized letter, but
Okay, but you did not get permission from the family court, correct?
they did not agree after all. They still used the pending case as a reason to prohibit visitation.
Okay, and then one of the reasons that they gave for terminating your parental rights was because you weren't visiting. Is that right?
Yes, they said it was because I had no bond with the child and because I wasn't providing anything. The case was pending, so before that, I had been providing toys and clothing. I would send what I could, and I pumped breast milk, which the CPS caseworker from the hospital would then transport to the foster care while he was still in foster care.
Okay. Okay, so that was, now, did you send pictures to Denise? Well, let me ask a couple things. Did Denise testify that you had sent pictures by text, I guess?
Yes, I don't recall how many pictures or if I sent her any pictures, but I must have.
Okay, but, okay,
Yes, they were pictures that his father had taken and sent me before the court pretty much stated that they'd rather he not have contact with me at all if he wanted to ensure getting full custody of our son.
okay. So if he wanted to get custody, he couldn't have contact with you. That was the deal.
It wasn't an exact condition, but it was recommended that in order to get the best chance for him to gain full custody, that we not have contact at all. So he did, we did terminate contact after that. He let me know that that was his intent and that he wanted to do what was best for our son.
Okay, and did you want him to do what was best for your son?
Of course, I wanted him to be at least with his father if I.
Okay, did you, so just so that we're clear then, did you violate any terms of the, of either your bond or of the conditions set by the family court?
No, I was never able to see my son, and I never tried to go near the father's residence, or he would occasionally call after he had full custody and I was able to talk on the phone. I would record videos, reading stories to send, to upload for him to watch. I was never sure if he actually got to watch them, but they had recommended against me being able to receive videos for some reason of our son. So that was not offered, but he did send occasional pictures for a while, but and not since the end of last year, I believe.
I'm sorry.
Not since the end of last year.
Okay,
And he did come, the father came by himself in person to take a picture with me so that he could show our son a picture of his mom and dad together. And
what,
Excuse me, let me just fix the video.
and when was that?
it was before he stopped having contact with me, the end of 2021, I suppose.
And again, he stopped having contact at the recommendation, but not the insistence of the CPS worker.
It was different reasons altogether for the cut off of contact. He occasionally would do that for unexplained reasons, and I would just try to remain patient until he was willing to respond again and have contact. But this time he didn't. I'm not sure if he was waiting for this case to be concluded to try to find out whether he would, try to restore contact and actually get to visit with our son.
Okay. Did you heard Corey testify that he had sent thousands in child support for Olivia? You recall that? Or he said he sent thousands in child support.
Not for Olivia, though. Not as far as I know. I never received anything from the state or from him through any kind of agency. He reached out maybe twice to try to see her, and I think through Denise once, but no, he may have been talking about his other children, but he never provided anything for her other than, I think in the beginning, his wife said he offered to buy a box of diapers, but that was it.
Okay. And what are you asking the jury to do? You understand that they can only sentence you between 5 and 99 years. They don't have the option of probation or anything like that.
I know that they only had a short time and a short amount of evidence, information, on which to base their judgment of my relationship with her. What if you could have seen her when she was alive and seen how happy she was? I saw myself in the end looking back now, just how poor, how bad she looked, but at the time, all I could see was her laugh and her smile, and she never complained much. I mean, I let her cry out her tantrums, and sometimes I wasn't, like, maybe I wasn't as helpful as I could have been. Instead of just trying to show her how to do something herself, I could have helped her. That's really all she wanted. And I shouldn't have worried so much about trying to discipline her in time out. But I mean, I never, ever would have wanted to see her hurt. And it was definitely not gone. I know there's a lot of ways that I failed her. And I know I should have reached out for help. In the beginning, I did. But as time went by, more people started to let us down, let her down. And I didn't know who I could trust to care for her anymore. But I should have known that any help was better than no help at all.
Absolutely, sure.
State.
How did Olivia get the scars on her head?
There were several different incidents. I mean, the ones that I mentioned might sound ridiculous, but I was there. I mean, the laptop, that only happened once. The plate, I did learn from that mistake. That's why I
Okay,
kept,
I'm gonna stop you. The laptop and the plate, you said were on the forehead. How did she get the scars on top of her head?
the plate was on the top of her head. I did mention it to the doctor when I took her in for the laptop, and that's probably why they documented that as the reason. Is I mentioned that one.
Okay, so the plate on top of the head would have happened before April of 2016, right? That's when you went to the hospital. Why was it so fresh on her head, Jessica?
That one wasn't from the plate. That one had healed, I'm pretty sure, a while before.
Okay, I'm talking about the ones that were still new, the ones that were still bleeding on her head. How did she get those?
One I know was from the glass container, because that one had been a pretty bad, a pretty prominent and deep wound, and that's the one that I was most concerned about, actually taking her in for staples if she needed them. But the reason I had stopped taking her, the first time that I took her for the laptop to get stitches, they did a really great job with her. That was at the Children's Hospital. I mean, they cleaned up her wound. They had somebody come just to blow bubbles with her, and it had been like that every time. Yes, I would have taken her for every single wound that she needed.
Jessica, I don't want to bring the pictures out. There were other marks on her head. How did she get all those marks on her head? This is your time to tell the jury.
Some of them were just from falls. I don't recall.
In similar shapes on her head, Jessica.
None of those were from that bracket or any
Okay,
item.
what were they from?
From falls, from random objects that just,
Falls onto what?
she would fall back sometimes, and if she happened to hit the wall or her head hit the wall,
Jessica, those scratches are all consistent with each other.
They weren't scratches, the skin would just break, and I've seen this happen with other parents' kids, so I thought it was bizarre at first, and I did take her to the clinic the first time that it happened. And they told me, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say what they
Oh,
told me.
no, I'll stop you. So you're saying that all of those linear scars on her head were from just falls where the skin just split itself open?
Most of them were anything that wasn't from something that I dropped on her or anything that happened to just bump her in the head while I was carrying
And,
her.
and you said that you heard that that would happen. Who did you hear that that would happen from?
I didn't hear it. I've seen other parents showing pictures.
You have seen other parents with children with scars like that on their head.
Yes, from a fall, which is what they said.
So you heard all of our child abuse experts, right? You said here, you heard them.
Yes, I did.
This was one of the worst cases they've ever seen, and they've never seen that many scratches on a kid's head, and you're telling us that you've seen that before.
I've seen a few, and they weren't scratches, they were lacerations, just skin. Three,
Okay, how, do you have an explanation as to how the lining on her scalp was so thick that the medical examiner was taken back by it because he had never seen fibrosis on a scalp that thick before?
I'm guessing it might have had to do with those, I mean, they were impacts to her scalp from items that were dropped or from bumps. But instead of forming bumps, they would tear the skin sometimes.
How much would they bleed, Jessica? How much would those scars bleed?
Some of them, the laptop one and the glass container did bleed a lot. And those were the ones that I actually, the first I did take her in for stitches, and the glass container I was.
I'm not just talking about, there's not just 2 marks that would have bled a lot, Jessica. How many of those marks, at least 10 that we counted, how many of them bled a lot?
Probably 3 or 4, those 2, and then the 2 other largest.
How much would she cry?
Objection, Judge, she's allowed to finish her answer.
All right, the witness may finish you may finish your answer.
I don't remember what I was saying, but none of those injuries were from in any kind of intentional pain. I wouldn't have wanted her to be in pain. She didn't cry when she was in pain. She cried when she was frustrated. And that's the only time that I let her cry.
How would you stop her from crying?
I wouldn't. I just let her cry until she was tired out. And
You heard the testimony about your neighbors. The only 2 real neighbors that you have, your downstairs neighbors and the next door neighbor. You heard both of their testimony that they would hear crying at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, crying that would startle them, crying that made them want to call Child Protective Services. How can you explain that?
I didn't try to stop her. I just let her, anytime when she was upset, I just let her cry out. I figured it was the best way to handle it. There was no other way I could think to get her to stop. And I didn't want to force her to stop. I wanted her to be able to be ready and calm so that I could listen. She could listen and I could talk to her and just reassure her that she didn't have to be upset.
How many times did you lock her in that bathroom?
Maybe 4 or 5. That was only when she was really, really upset. And I closed the door, but I didn't lock her in there. She
But
came.
you said in the interviews that you would you would close the door on her feet or her arms almost every day.
Not every day. I did it maybe 3 or 4 times, and it's because she was so frustrated and I was just exasperated, and I didn't want her to just come out until she was ready and calm, and
And again, you heard your neighbor say that he, almost every day, he would hear crying so loud in that bathroom that it sounded like a baby close to the ground was in the bathroom with him. How do you explain that?
it wouldn't have been almost every day. She had those meltdowns, but not that often. And I let her cry it out. Sometimes she'd be on the floor. Sometimes she'd be kicking.
In the middle of the night?
I'm not sure what time it was. If she happened to be upset for any reason, if she happened to be awake at that time.
Okay,
I don't recall putting her in the bathroom at that time of night because usually we were both asleep.
so you're still maintaining all of those scars on her head were all accidental.
I know for a fact that they weren't.
What about her arms, Jessica?
That I know was from the doors. And I mean, when they told me that I didn't believe that I could have caused that just from catching her arm in the door, but I know I did see her right arm and it was swollen, and I wasn't sure what was wrong with it, but I didn't realize that it could have happened just from that.
And so you're saying she just caught her arm in the door and it caused that?
I wasn't paying attention.
And you slammed the door? You slammed the door on your daughter's arm?
One of the kittens was trying to come in. I wasn't paying attention. I just wanted to close it before the kitten came in. And I didn't see she had her arm. She was telling me to wait. I didn't see.
Jessica, what about the bruising on her hand? She had bruising on the palm of her hand, right here. How did she get that?
That's one of the ones I wasn't sure about.
Okay. You saw she had the hyperpigmentation all over her back.
She had that most of her life. I wasn't sure.
Those weren't from injuries?
No, they couldn't have been. I mean, that's just something she had had since she was a baby.
Again, this is your last chance to tell the truth. What was the fatal blow that killed Olivia?
It's not something that I saw happen. It's not something that I did intentionally. But I know that it's something that I may have allowed to happen.
When you sent Denise an accidental text earlier this year about giving a cereal to a child, what child were you talking about?
It was for my little boy. His father, when he came by, I sent him a picture to show him, and he said that he liked it, but he didn't actually take it with him.
But it said, you said that you fed the child cereal, right?
No, I never got to feed him personally.
Didn't you also say something about Edward bringing over the baby? Denise?
He said he was going to, but he came by himself instead. And I'm assuming that he meant after this case was concluded, he would bring him by.
This was in June or July of this year?
That was the last time that he had spoken to me. That's when he just mentioned bringing him by, but I never spoke to him again after that. He didn't send any pictures or anything.
We heard a little bit about you having a miscarriage. When did that happen?
Several months ago, I can't recall exactly when.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
I said several months ago, I don't recall exactly when.
Were you trying to have another child?
No,
Who was the father of that one?
Objection relevance, Joe.
Sustained.
So Jessica, you're still gonna maintain that all of Olivia's injuries.
a lot of carelessness, but never anything malicious, never anything out of anger or frustration for her.
You heard the force that would be needed to cause those injuries. You heard that testimony, right?
One for the last injury, yes.
No further questions.
Defense.
Just a couple of questions, Jessica. You started to say what the clinic told you, and then you said, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. What did the clinic tell you?
When I took her in for the first head scalp laceration, they said that I was doing everything properly. I had cleaned it and covered it with a bandage, pulled the hair aside to protect it from infection. And I asked what would happen, and I told them that it was from a fall, and I asked what would happen if it didn't close up, if she would need stitches, because she hadn't had stitches at that point yet, and I didn't want to expose her to that if she didn't need them. And they said, since it was on the scalp, it would be staples, not stitches. So possible. And since they said I was handling it fine, I figured if that were the case, for a small laceration like that, I shouldn't have to take her to get staples.
Okay. So follow me closely here. You've testified before in this case, right?
Yes,
And you said that these injuries were not intentionally
Yeah, I
inflicted.
don't object to leading.
That'll be sustained.
Did you tell the jury that these injuries were not intentionally inflicted?
yes, I did.
Do you understand that the jury didn't believe you?
Yes, I do.
Do you understand that taking the stand and continuing after they have convicted, taking the stand and continuing to tell them that this is not intentional doesn't serve you as well as it would to tell them, oh, I messed up, I hit her harder than error of my way.
Your Honor, again, object to leaving.
All right, that'll be overruled.
Even if you didn't believe that, you understand it would be better to tell them that?
I can't vote
Then why do you insist that these injuries were not intentional?
because they were.
Did you ever beat Olivia with any object?
No, God, no,
Did you beat her with your hands?
no. She's a baby.
Did you beat her to death?
Of course not. She's my baby.
State.
No question.
All right, you may step down. All right, defense, call your next witness.
Rest.
State.
Preston close.
Defense, do you close? All right, compartments approach. Are parties ready to proceed with argument? State.
We will reserve, Your Honor.
All right, defense.
So I just want to address one thing about Jessica's testimony in the punishment phase. And that is, she knows full well that by saying that these were not intentional, but that's not doing her any favors with you. Okay? Obviously, both of us disagree with your verdict, but we respect it. We know how hard you worked. We know what y'all gave up in order to be able to come here and give her a fair trial. And we live with the consequences of it. That's just all there is to it. What she can't do, I mean, what is a person who truly is convinced of their own innocence supposed to do? That's all I can ask you to do is to show mercy in this case. And you might say, and I'm sure the prosecution is going to say, that she didn't show any mercy to Olivia. And my answer to that is, and that therefore, she doesn't deserve any mercy. And my answer to that is, the people who deserve mercy don't need mercy. Mercy is not earned. Mercy is granted. And I'm asking y'all to grant that to Jessica. Thank you.
All right, state.
Thank you, Your Honor. This case is about Olivia. This case is about what Olivia went through in her life and her life that was taken from her because of the actions of the defendant. And furthermore, mercy is for those who take responsibility. Mercy is for those who tell the truth. Now, as you have in front of you, or you will with the charge, the range of punishment is 5 to 99 years or life in prison. There's not really any difference between life in prison or 99 years, so don't get hung up on that. Sometimes jurors ask about the fine. It doesn't go to the victim's family. It doesn't go to the victim's fund. Assess it if you want it. We leave that to you. The only thing we ask is that you be unanimous in your verdict so that we can finally get some justice and some closure after 5 long years. Now, talking about Olivia and who this case is about and what was taken from her, as a 4-year-old, you have your entire life ahead of you. There are so many milestones that Olivia will never get to experience. She'll never get to go to kindergarten. She'll never get to have that first best friend. She'll never get that first tip, learn to ride a bicycle, learn to drive a car, graduation, first job, seeing the ocean for the first time. And that is what this case is about. what Olivia lost out on and what she went through. At 4 years old, she should have been making friends, playing outside. She shouldn't have been in a chair all day long or being beaten or put in the bathroom. And I wonder how many happy memories that child actually had. Like if she remembered the times playing with Bella or when Denise would come. I think about Olivia a lot on days like yesterday. What she would have wanted to be for Halloween. What her favorite candy was. She should have been trick-or-treating, staying up too late. But for Olivia, there will be no more Halloweens, no more Christmases, and no more birthdays. Now, Olivia had people in her life that loved her, that would have welcomed her with open arms. Denise said she would have taken her in a heartbeat. Laura would have been so happy to add her to her crew. And it doesn't matter that Jessica had it rough. There were other options. And there is no excuse in the world for what she did to Olivia. Now, as a mother, you're supposed to protect your child. A mother is someone who's supposed to take care of you when you're sick, hold you when you're sad, carry you when you're down. Most mothers would lay down their lives for their child, and I will never understand how the defendant could have done what she did to her own daughter. And I wonder if Olivia in her life ever knew what love was. And I wonder if she knew that she was good and she was perfect just the way that she was. Now, it is clear from the evidence that you saw in the first phase of the trial that she was abused over and over again. And it's clear that in the last year of her life, there were a lot of tears. This was not a one-time incident. That child was brutalized. And you have the pictures, and you heard the evidence, and you heard the testimony, and you saw the scars, and you've seen things in this trial that you will never be able to unsee for the rest of your life. So how about 10 years for each time Olivia was struck in the head? 10 years for each of those scars that were caused by blunt force trauma, sharp objects. 10 years for each arm injury. That seems fair.
5 minutes.
What's most concerning about this defendant is you look at her, you see her out in the street, you don't worry, you don't think, oh, what is she capable of? She's unassuming. But you guys know what she's capable of. And ask yourself, at what point would you be comfortable with her being around children again? And the answer is never. Ask yourself, how many years is Olivia's life worth? And the answer is a life sentence. So sentence Jessica Briones to life in prison for what she did to do this to another child again. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you now have the court's permission to deliberate as it relates to punishment. Everyone, please rise.
Your Honor, could we take down?
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's the court's understanding that you have reached a verdict as to punishment in this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is it unanimous?
Yes.
All right, if you will pass that to Deputy Laura, please. All right, Ms. Briones, if you could please stand. All right. The verdict reads as follows. We assess her punishment at confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for a term of life. And there's no fine assessed. Mr. Foley or the state, would you like the jury to be polled?
So, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may have a seat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start on this end. And if this is your verdict, just let me know by saying yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your service at this time. I'm going to have Deputy Laura take you back to the jury room and I'll meet you back there shortly. All right, thank you, everyone. Please rise.